Good morning. Socrates' defense or the apology, day 5. If you doubt whether I am really the sort of person who would have been sent to this city as a gift from God, you can convince yourself by looking at it in this way. Does it seem natural that I should have neglected my own affairs and endured the humiliation of allowing my family to be neglected for all these years, while I busied myself all the time on your behalf, going like a father or an elder brother to see each one of you privately and urging you to set your thoughts on goodness? If I had got any enjoyment from it, or if I had been paid for my good advice, there would have been some explanation for my conduct. But as it is, you can see for yourselves that although my accusers unblushingly charge me with all sorts of other crimes, there is one thing that they have not had the impudence to pretend on any testimony, and that is that I have ever exacted or asked a fee from anyone. The witness that I can offer to prove the truth of my statement is, I think, a convincing one: my poverty. It may seem curious that I should go around giving advice like this and busying myself in people's private affairs, and yet never venture publicly to address you as a whole and advise on matters of state. The reason for this is what you have often heard me say before on many other occasions, that I am subject to a divine experience, which Meletus saw fit to travesty in his indictment. It began in my early childhood. A sort of voice which comes to me, and when it comes it always dissuades me from what I am proposing to do, and never urges me on. It is this that debars me from entering public life, and a very good thing too, in my opinion, because you may be quite sure, gentlemen, that if I had tried long ago to engage in politics, I should long ago have lost my life, without doing any good either to you or to myself. Please do not be offended if I tell you the truth. No man on earth who conscientiously opposes either you or any other organized democracy, and flatly prevent a great many wrongs and illegalities from taking place in the state to which he belongs, can possibly escape with his life. The true champion of justice, if he intends to survive, even for a short time, must necessarily confine himself to private life and leave politics alone. I will offer you substantial proofs of what I have said, not theories, but what you can appreciate better, facts. Listen while I describe my actual experiences, so that you may know that I would never submit wrongly to any authority through fear of death, but would refuse even at the cost of my life. It will be a commonplace story, such as you often hear in the courts, but it is true. The only office which I have ever held in our city, gentlemen, was when I was elected to the council. It so happened that our group was acting as the executive when you decided that the 10 commanders who had failed to rescue the men who were lost in the naval engagement should be tried en bloc, which was illegal, as you all recognized later. On this occasion, I was the only member of the executive who insisted that you should not act unconstitutionally, and voted against the proposal. And although your leaders were all ready to denounce and arrest me, and you were all urging them on at the top of your voices, crucify him, I thought that it was my duty to face it out on the side of law and justice rather than support you, through fear of prison or death, in your wrong decision. This happened while we were still under a democracy. When the oligarchy came into power, the 30 commissioners in their turn summoned me and 4 others to the round chamber and instructed us to go and fetch Leon of Salamis, who from his home for execution. This was, of course, only one of many instances in which they issued such instructions, their object being to implicate as many people as possible in their wickedness. On this occasion, however, I again made it clear, not by my words, but by my actions, that death did not matter to me at all, if that is not too strong an expression, but that it mattered all the world to me that I should do nothing wrong or wicked. Powerful as it was, that government did not terrify me into doing a wrong action. When we came out of the round chamber, the other 4 went off to Salamis and arrested Leon, and I went home. I should probably have been put to death for this, if the government had not fallen soon afterward. There are plenty of people who will testify to these statements. Do you suppose that I should have lived as long as I have if I had moved in the sphere of public life and conducted myself in that sphere like an honourable man, had always upheld the cause of right, and conscientiously set this end above all other things? Not by a very long way, gentlemen. Neither would any other man. You will find that throughout my life I have been consistent in any public duties that I have performed, and the same also in my personal dealings. I have never countenanced any action that was incompatible with justice on the part of any person, including those whom some people maliciously call my pupils. I have never set up as any man's teacher, but if anyone, young or old, is eager to hear me conversing and carrying out my private mission, I never grudged him the opportunity, nor do I charge a fee for talking to him, and refuse to talk without one. I am ready to answer questions for rich and poor alike, and I am equally ready if anyone prefers to listen to me and answer my questions. If any given one of these people becomes a good citizen or a bad one, I cannot fairly be held responsible, since I have never promised or imparted any teaching to anybody, and if anyone asserts that he has ever learned or heard from me privately anything which was not open to everyone else, you may be quite sure that he is not telling the truth. But how is it that some people enjoy spending a great deal of time in my company? You have heard the reason, gentlemen. I told you quite frankly. It is because they enjoy hearing me examine those who think that they are wise when they are not, an experience which has its amusing side. This duty I have accepted, as I said, in obedience to God's commandments given in oracles and dreams and in every other way that any other divine dispensation has ever impressed a duty upon man. This is a true statement, gentlemen, and easy to verify. If it is a fact that I am in process of corrupting some of the young and have succeeded already in corrupting others, and if it were a fact that some of the latter, being now grown up, had discovered that I had ever given them bad advice when they were young, surely they ought now to be coming forward to denounce and punish me. And if they did not like to do it themselves, you would expect some of their families, their fathers and brothers and other near relations, to remember it now, if their own flesh and blood had suffered any harm from me. Certainly a great many of them have found their way into this court, as I can see for myself. First Crito over there, my contemporary and near neighbor, the father of this young man, Critobulus, and then Lysanias of Spatus, the father of Aeschines here, and next Antiphon of Cephinus over there, the father of Epigenes. Then besides these are all those whose brothers have been members of our circle. Nicostratus, the son of Thucydides, the brother of Theodotus, but Theodotus is dead, so he cannot appeal to his brother. And Paralus here, the son of Demodocus, whose brother was Tierges. And here is Adimantus, the son of Ariston, whose brother Plato is over there, and Diotodorus, whose brother Apollodorus is here on this side. I can name many more besides, some of whom Meletus most certainly ought to have produced as witnesses in the course of his speech. If he forgot to do so then, let him do so now. I am willing to make way for him. Let him state whether he has any such evidence to offer. On the contrary, gentlemen, you will find that they are all prepared to help me, the corrupter and evil genius of their nearest and dearest relatives, as Meletus and Anatus say. The actual victims of my corrupting influence might perhaps be excused for helping me, but as for the uncorrupted, their relations of mature age, what other reason can they have for helping me, except the right and proper one, that they know Meletus is lying, and I am telling the truth. Here, gentlemen, there, gentlemen, that, and perhaps a little more to the same effect, is the substance of what I can say in my defense. It may be that some one of you, remembering his own case, will be annoyed that whereas he, in standing his trial upon a less serious charge than this, made pitiful appeals to the jury with floods of tears, and had his infant children produced in court to excite the maximum of sympathy, and many of his relatives and friends as well. I, on the contrary, intend to do nothing of the sort, and that, although I am facing, as it might appear, the utmost danger. It may be that one of you, reflecting on these facts, will be prejudiced against me, and being irritated by his reflections, will give his vote in anger. If one of you is so disposed, I do not expect it, but there is the possibility, I think that I should be quite justified in saying to him, "My dear sir, of course I have some relatives. To quote the very words of Homer, even I am not sprung from an oak or from a rock, but from human parents, and consequently I have relatives. Yes, and sons too, gentlemen, 3 of them. One almost grown up and the other 2 only children. But all the same, I am not going to produce them here and beseech you to acquit me. Why do I not intend to do anything of this kind? Not out of perversity, gentlemen, nor out of contempt for you. Whether I am brave or not in the face of death has nothing to do with it. The point is that for my own credit and yours, and for the credit of the state as a whole, I do not think that it is right for me to use any of these methods at my age and with my reputation, which may be true or it may be false, but at any rate the view is held that Socrates is different from the common run of mankind. Now, if those of you who are supposed to be distinguished for wisdom or courage or any other virtue are to behave in this way, it would be a disgrace. I have often noticed that some people of this type, for all their high standing, go to extraordinary lengths when they come up for trial, which shows that they think it will be a dreadful thing to lose their lives, as though they would be immortal if they did not put them to death. In my opinion, these people bring disgrace upon our city. any of our visitors might be excused for thinking that the finest specimens of Athenian manhood, whom their fellow citizens select on their merits to rule over them and hold other high positions, are no better than women. If you have even the smallest reputation, gentlemen, you ought not to descend to these methods, and if we do so, you must not give us license. On the contrary, you must make it clear that anyone who stages these pathetic scenes and so brings ridicule upon our city is far more likely to be condemned than if he kept perfectly quiet. But apart from all questions of appearance, gentlemen, I do not think that it is right for a man to appeal to the jury or to get himself acquitted by doing so. He ought to inform them of the facts and convince them by argument. The jury does not sit to dispense justice as a favor, but to decide where justice lies. And the oath which they have sworn is not to show favor at their own discretion, but to return a just and lawful verdict. It follows that we must not develop in you, nor you allow to grow in yourselves, the habit of perjury. That would be sinful for us both. Therefore you must not expect me, gentlemen, to behave towards you in a way which I consider neither reputable nor moral, nor consistent with my religious duty. And above all, you must not expect it when I stand charged with impiety by Meletus here. Surely it is obvious that if I try to persuade you and prevail upon you by my entreaties to go against your solemn oath, I should be teaching you contempt for religion. And by my very defense I should be accusing myself of having no religious beliefs. But that is very far from the truth. I have a more sincere belief, gentlemen, than any of my accusers, and I leave it to you and to God to judge me as it shall be best for me and for yourselves. We'll end there. Have a beautiful day.